Good evening, everyone. Some very interesting developments today with the whole situation, particularly with regard to the whistleblower who's released this information now regarding what happened in can't think of the name, Benghazi, with I think it's in Pakistan, with the what happened with Osama bin Laden and SEAL Team 6, I believe, was involved. Some bombshell information just got released today via the news network. I think his name is it Gary Fauci, I believe, the guy who is behind this channel. Yeah, some very interesting information come out today, so yeah, worth checking out. Will have some serious repercussions, I'm sure. Also, a lot of information somebody's collated regarding the Serco Corporation and all the things they're involved in, from patents to chip technologies and track and tracing app that they've spent, I think it was 108 million on or something. And all this covert surveillance and stuff that they've put on our phones without our permission, and even though it's switched off, apparently people have still been getting notifications to say they need to self-isolate for 14 days or face a £10,000, or I think it's either £1,000 initially and then a £10,000 secondary fine if you don't obey their orders, basically. Obviously this is a very similar system to what they've rolled out in China now, where you have the traffic light system. So green means you can travel without restriction, amber means you're on restricted travel bans and all sorts of other implications, economic sanctions and all sorts of things, I think, that are related to that. And then you've got the red, which means basically you're not allowed to do anything, you're basically under house arrest. So yeah, I think this is, we all know where this is leading us. Had some very interesting conversations this evening with a couple of friends who or friends of a friend who I've met up with, and discussed a number of topics this evening, one of which is regarding the whole natural law, common law, and the maritime admiralty jurisdiction and all that stuff, and how it applies to the fiction or the straw man, not the living being. So there's a distinct difference in the legal definitions, which when you look into the whole legalese language, which many people have pointed out over the years, John Harris and Robert Menard and Roger Hayes, to mention a few that I've come across over the years, talking about how this system basically, well, for want of a better word, is a fraud or a scam. Yeah, so they're drawing you into their legal world, if you like, and I think it was John Harris that pointed out that legislation, the statutes were defined in Black's Law, I think it was in the 5th edition, as, and I quote, a legislative rule of society given the force of law through consent of the governed. So when you break that down, as he said, it doesn't state that it is law, it says it's given the force of law through consent of the governed. So us being the governed now, I assume that means on a collective basis, so we've collectively given them consent to act on the person, or which, again, if you look up the definition, is the legal fiction created through the birth certificate. And the reason it's all in block capitals is because of the Capitis Dominius Maximus, dating back to Roman canon law, I believe, which is a loss of your inherent rights through use of that I was going to say language, it's not a language, it's just basically the use of the capital letters to represent you. So yeah, these are all based on the fiction The Straw Man through the birth certificate, as we know, and many people have gone to court and stood their ground under natural law, common law, and held the officials accountable under their oaths. And on a number of occasions I've seen the officials, or the so-called judges, walk out of the court, or basically abandon the court. Just been sent another example this evening, actually, funnily enough, which has prompted me to put this video out there. But there was also a guy called Raymond St. Clair when I used to look into this stuff several years ago, and he was challenging the status of the court, as it were, and their authority over the human being, or the living man or woman. Because all these things, the problem is we think these words are defined with the regular dictionary terminology, but unfortunately what's happened is they've corrupted this language and created their own language. So they've changed the meanings of certain words, and over time they come up with different variations or additions. So they change the meanings so that it's a way of tricking people and catching them out, I believe, because we think they're talking to us in English, but they're not. So yeah, I always use the word understand as an example, because it's synonymous with stand under, which means if you understand an official, then what they're actually asking you is, do you stand under my authority? So a lot of the people involved in this system, I believe, are not really aware of this this fact. So yeah, it's a way of coercing you into a contract and creating what's called joinder between you, the man or the woman, and the fiction or the straw man, or your paper version, your corporate entity, if you like. So there's two versions of us. One is the real, I was going to say the word person, but again, if you look up the word person, it's a persona or a mask, it's not the real you. So we have to be careful when we use these terms. I mean, there's so many examples, like, you know, when you drive a car, you're a driver, you are then bound by the rules of the system, whereas if you are an operator of a private conveyance as opposed to a vehicle, then it has a different meaning in the legal sense. So yeah, it's such a deep subject, and you know, I've only scratched the surface really over the years, and yeah, there's people out there who know far more than myself, but yeah, it's an ingenious system, really, a bit like the monetary system, the enslavement through these fictional pieces of paper we call money, but it's not actually money, because again, when you look up the word money, it doesn't describe what we have. What we have is a fiat currency based on people's belief, really, ultimately. So they're receipts, they're not remittances, which are forms of money. So yeah, it's an ingenious system or scam, and the more you delve into these topics, the more you realise that it's all connected via this web of deceit, really. Yeah, mind-boggling stuff, shall we say. Yeah, I don't know what we do about this situation, other than to raise awareness and to engage in peaceful non-compliance and expose this fraud. that permeates pretty much every aspect of society, certainly in the more so-called civilized countries, or developed countries anyway. But that system has been rolled out pretty much globally. I'm sure there are some examples of tribes and smaller cultures dotted around that, you know, don't subscribe to this system and use the whole court scam, because, you know, courts used to uphold the natural law, the common law, so people would become outlaws if they didn't follow those fundamental principles and things, you know, where if you'd violated somebody's natural God-given rights, i.e. you caused them harm or loss in some way, which basically summarises the whole common law. If you hadn't committed those, then you basically only violated a statutory code, which applies to the fiction. Yeah, I mean, this subject is so vast, it's really hard to do it justice in a short video, but I'm just putting it out there to raise awareness of these topics so that people go and do their own research, because like any good researcher, I always say to people, don't accept anything I say, always do your own research, look at it yourself, discover it for yourself, because that's when it really hits you, dawns on you how massive this whole thing is. But people are still, you know, they're starting to wake up more and more. I think even people in the mainstream are gradually waking from their slumber, so to speak, and I think we're seeing more and more examples of that each day. Yeah, so I'm going to end it there for now, and yeah, I wish you all the very best, and yeah, the reason we see further than others is because we stand on the shoulders of giants who have put in lots of hard work and research over the years to uncover this stuff. So yeah, my gratitude goes out to all those amazing people who have stuck their necks out and risked their lives at times, and some of which have paid the ultimate price for doing so. And I'd like to salute those heroes that are out there exposing this fraud and yeah, risking everything. And like a lot of these doctors who have lost their medical licenses because they've raised questions about this whole pandemic, scamdemic, whatever you wish to call it, and how it's being used as a smokescreen for many other parts of the agenda that's being rolled out. So yeah, peace to all, and yeah, do your own research, as I say, and trust your own intuition, guidance, and develop that skill of critical thinking. And yeah, I'm always open to being corrected on anything that I put out there, because none of us have all the answers and all the facts. You know, everyone does their bit, and hopefully we collate and come together as one and unite, because you know, we have to put our differences aside when we're facing such an insidious threat as this dark cult that's being exposed for what it is, yeah, by the likes of Julian Assange and many other great people out there doing their bit to expose this. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there, as I say, and best wishes to you all. See you in the next video.